Hello, I'm Carl Newbould and I work for Leeds Museums and Galleries as a Learning and Access Officer, and I work across 9 different sites in Leeds, including this one here, which is the Leeds Discovery Centre, which is our warehouse where we keep all of our objects. So my post in particular looks at careers and young people with special educational needs and disabilities, or SEND. So I help young people to gain career-based work experience and to encounter employers and the employees of our organisation. I work with lots of local schools around Leeds, although we are spreading a little bit into places like Bradford and Wakefield and Doncaster as well. And essentially young people can ask for me to go into their school and chat about the sorts of careers and roles that people do within museums and galleries, not just in the learning department, which is the department I'm in, but also the wider team as well. So front of house, curatorial, our digital team, conservation, and they learn about lots and lots of different roles. And if they're in particular interested in one of those, then I'll try and organise a work experience for them so that they can pursue the career and the interest that they want to follow. So I'm in the Learning and Access team, but I have to work with a lot of different people from around the museum sector because I'm teaching young people about what it's like to work in a museum. So I've worked with our curatorial department, conservation department, registrars, the Learning and Access team more broadly, and front of house. So I need to gather lots of knowledge from all those different people so that I can take it out to schools and tell young people about it. And it's amazing, even for me, I went through a bit of a journey of discovery, learning the types of skills and careers that people can do within museums and galleries. That isn't just the people that you see when you walk into the building. There's a lot more sort of back of house that goes on, and that requires lots of different sets of skills to achieve. Our programme is very much not designed to just funnel young people into Leeds Museums and Galleries. It's more about the skills and the confidence that that young person gains throughout the placement. So the idea is they gain those skills and aptitudes with us, but then they can take that into any career in the future, and we're just a stepping stone between learning in school to earning in the workplace. So my typical working day is quite varied because I work with a lot of different departments and 9 different museum sites around Leeds. So I work with a wide variety of special educational needs as well. So that includes autism and cerebral palsy and Down syndrome. I've worked with dyslexic pupils as well. And that means that the job is never boring because I work with a lot of different people with different needs, and it means that I have to stay on my toes quite a lot. So it started at university. I was training to be a primary school teacher, and as part of that course we had a module called Learning Outside of the Classroom and Settings Other Than School. So I did a placement at the Royal Armouries Museum and came out of it and instantly knew what I wanted to do in my career, which was education and learning within museums. So I volunteered at my local museum in York, gathered a bit of experience there. When I finished my university degree, they gave me a job working at front of house, and then became a learning officer at the Royal Armouries, which then led into the role that I am in now. Through the programme that I run, Careers for All, we very much want to show that university isn't necessary to get into museum jobs and careers. I certainly have colleagues who haven't gone to university and work with our team, and I do think that the key isn't necessarily that qualification, but is more to do with experience and volunteering. So if from a fairly young age you know you're interested, go to your local museum and get involved. So any volunteering opportunities that you can find generally really help your CV and will very much help your application process, and also at interview as well, because it will give you examples that you can give. Also, if you have a particular interest that you want to pursue, It's about talking to your schools and your colleges who will be able to set up work experience opportunities for you as well, perhaps be able to give you a really good match. So by the time that you leave school, you've got a head start. I think it's really important to be able to see that people with special educational needs and disabilities can actually bring more to an organisation. I've often had it described that autism can be a bit of a superpower, in that actually they think in a different way to a neurotypical person, and that can actually mean that they have strength in knowledge, for instance, or in a particular way of thinking. Often with the arts, there is an assumption that sort of neurotypical is easier because it's more public facing, but there are so many roles that a neurodiverse person would excel at in museums and galleries, and certainly the intensity of interest that somebody who is neurodiverse can have on a particular topic, and therefore the knowledge and the background they have can be extremely useful. I've met young people who I've done mock interviews with, and they have coding jobs at 16, jobs that involve, our digital side, our marketing, our coding. The skills that an autistic person could bring into the organisation could be hugely beneficial from that perspective. So I've had 2 different work experience pupils who have very much concentrated on very different skills. I had a pupil who came in, and as soon as they looked around, they said, I want to do a tour. So the sorts of skills that you need to build up for that obviously are to do with presentation and approachability and being able to remember facts and retell them in an interesting and engaging way. So that role involves a lot of social skills. On the flip side, I've had a pupil who has come in and they have done computing and they've learnt how to code at school. They do not want to talk to the public. So when they started their placement, they said, I want to work online, I want to work with computers, if I can do videos and audio clips, and then do a bit of graphic design to create posters and leaflets instead, then that is a whole different set of skills coming from a pupil with a different background, but ultimately they're both working in heritage in the arts. Lots of organisations are becoming more diverse and also more aware of the need to be diverse within their organisation and the advantages that come with it too. And I think the more advocates that there are out there in the world and the more projects that there are, such as the Careers for All project that we run here in Leeds, is only going to help increase that awareness and hopefully, in 10, 20 years' time, mean that our workforces are more diverse as a whole. I would say that if you are a young person with special educational needs or a disability, to not be afraid to go out there and to pursue the jobs that you want to do, and not assume that a job isn't for you. Because very much so, if you are enthusiastic about it and you gain the experience and you put the work in, then all of that is going to go in your work experience and your CV and your applications, and that will give you the head start that you need in order to get the job ahead of other candidates. So if you find the job you want to do, then get the experience and go for it.
I'm Emily Nelson. I'm the Learning and Access Officer at the Leeds Discovery Centre, which is one of the 9 Leeds Museums and Galleries sites. We're the central storage site, so we have 1 million objects in one massive purpose-built warehouse. So as Learning and Access Officer, I get to do all sorts of different things, but it's mostly around what we would call formal and informal learning. So formal learning is what people do in schools. So we have lots of school visits and classes that will come and visit to look at objects and to learn about a specific topic. So I run all of those sessions. But the informal side of it is more like working with families, running activities in the school holidays, doing things like crafts and linking them in with the collections we've got in the museum. And then on top of that, all sorts of other things with groups of all different ages. There are loads of ways that you can get into museums, and the people that work at Leeds Museums have all taken completely different paths. So when I was younger, I was a volunteer with a pack of brownies, and that helped me to build lots of skills around working with groups, teaching, working with small children, and I still use those skills today. This cabinet here was actually put together by a group of 16 and 17-year-olds through a programme which used to exist called the National Citizen Service, but it was all about giving young people an opportunity to develop skills like curating, so that's what we call it when we choose specific objects to go in a display like this, researching to find out what the objects were and what to write about them, and then kind of putting it all together and working as a team. So there are loads of different ways that people can build the skills that we use every day in our jobs. Going to university is just one of them. I think if there was one piece of advice I could give for young people who were really interested in getting into museums or into the creative industries in a wider sense, it would be that you don't always know where you're going to end up, and that's absolutely fine. You don't have to know exactly what you want to do. You just have to do as much as you can of the things that you enjoy that build those skills and experiences that will lead you into the future. You know, choose the subjects you like because you will work harder at them and you'll do better, and they will take you somewhere, wherever that may be.